Welcome to the Enthusiast Gaming Podcast, where today we're going to be discussing the current state of the retro video game market. This is something that Wes and I love to look at from time to time. It's been quite a while since we've done one, so we figured, why the hell not? Let's do one now. We're going to be talking about what's hot in the retro gaming market, what's not, and then we're going to be looking at some things that are lukewarm. Some of those are kind of on the rise, some of those are kind of on the decline, and we'll discuss those when we get to there. But starting out first, we wanted to just give you guys an overarching view of how we feel the retro gaming market is. So we're going to be discussing, where our collections are at. We're going to be taking a look at those. We're going to be talking about stuff that's changing the market a little bit, like GameStop Retro. So I hope you're looking forward to all those things. Before we hop right into that, I just want to mention very briefly, please consider going to support us on Patreon if you like what you hear today. Patreon.com/nerdenthusiast is where you can go to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, just like Bernardo did. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you, Bernardo, for your support this month.
Thanks, Bernardo. We really appreciate everything you guys do.
Absolutely. And you guys can get ad-free content over there, so don't forget about that. Big shout out to our sponsor this month, Wes, buzzleshopping.com. You guys can go there, get some awesome deals. You can go to that website. You can also download their app. Wes, you've downloaded the app and checked it out. Tell me a little bit about it, sir.
I did. It's full of awesome deals. For example, I'm looking at the app now. You can get a pair of Adidas men's light racing sneaker, which is normally $40, but you get it through Buzzle, $29.75.
There you go, guys. Make sure you check it out, buzzleshopping.com, or download their app. So this episode's information, when we get into details about the pricing, was taken from Price Charting. That's the website we use to track it. Is it a perfect website? Nope, but it's a great way to look at things, to get a bunch of data throughout the years on different games, systems, etc. Our research was not all-encompassing data, but instead we looked at a variety of titles and compared our own collections for analysis. And I just wanted to remind you guys that we are collectors, we are not investors, so you can take our thoughts and opinion with a grain of salt. So, Wes, let's hop right into it, sir. The current state of the video game market. What do you see with your collection? Where do you want to start with this topic?
I've been seeing a lot of decline in my collection.
Okay.
A lot of decline. There's a few standout exceptions. There's some stuff that's gone up, but as a whole, it's like my collection is slowly taking a decline. Not dramatic, but there's titles that I see have dropped a couple dollars here, dropped a couple dollars there.
Yeah, I'm seeing similar things for the most part. What I would describe it as is stabilization, because we had that giant peak during the pandemic that skyrocketed our collection's value, right? And those things are starting to come back down to reality quite a bit. Um, it's not like to your point, they're not falling off a cliff, but they are certainly lower, and you're going to see that in a lot of the graphs
Mm-hmm.
and stuff that we put up when we show you guys the price of games. Sure, you're going to have outliers like truly rare games that are highly sought after. They're going to continue to incline no matter what. That it doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making more of those games. Even if they make um, digital versions like today, that might affect it a little bit. But the reality is, as you're going to see, a little Samson is still a little Samson, and it's still going to keep going up in value because it's limited. There's not a lot of them, and they're very expensive, and that's about it. Do you agree with my point that I think that it's like stabilizing, or do you think they're going to continue to like really keep going down for a while?
Now, I think you hit it when you said that the market's kind of stabilized right now, but I think there's going to be room for some more decline.
I agree with that for sure. I'm saying it's starting to stabilize, right?
It is. It is. Like I said, there's not, like you said, they're not big gaps. It's like they're not plummeting, but just little decreases here or there.
Right. And when we get into what's hot and what's not, we're going to kind of dissect what
Mhm.
systems, overall are seeing like more popular, what systems are being purchased more
Mhm.
popularly for, right? So we're going to get into those details in a minute. GameStop entered the retro gaming market. Do you think that this has any effect whatsoever on retro game prices?
No, it's no. You know what? It's funny because The retro game market itself is still very, very popular, and it continues to grow and get more popular as time goes on. We did videos about going to the game conventions, and there's more and more people in attendance every year. So the popularity is there. But whether GameStop has any influence on that, absolutely not. Have you been in a GameStop and seen their retro section?
So near me, we don't have any. We don't have any official like. If you go to their website, you can look at what stores are their retro stores.
Mm-hmm.
There's not any near me, so no, I haven't been to any. But all their stores, the way it works is all their stores collect the inventory and they ship it
Mm-hmm.
out to like the retro store. But if someone came in and wanted to buy a game and they had it, they could sell it. Like, and if it was, I guess they're probably sending them out like weekly or something to
Yeah,
the retro store, right?
to the actual retro store. Now, keep in mind, their actual retro store is a store that has a 4 foot section. So it's not an entire store full of retro games. It's a little
Right.
skinny. It's a little skinny section in the corner with retro games.
Right. It's not like a real retro video game store. It's a small section inside of a regular GameStop.
Mhm.
You wouldn't even know it was a retro one if you didn't even look it up on the internet. You'd have no idea if you just walked in there. Um, but yeah, so kind of going back to what you said, I think right now it has very little effect on the market. You can get some great deals there,
You can.
but it, not usually. Like you're gonna spend so much time looking, like it's not even worth it. And the area you live in matters greatly, right? Some YouTubers I watch and stuff, they're
Hmm.
from like other areas. There's nothing
Hmm.
where I live. Nothing. So I mean, if you live in the right areas, I'm sure it's great, but it's not much out here. I don't see it changing much. I don't see it greatly affecting things unless GameStop is to take it really seriously and start like buying out retro stores inventory and like
Hmm.
doing giant like bulk purchases off of eBay and just buying whatever they can. I don't really see them changing the market that much.
Yeah, I agree. It's still just GameStop that sells retro games, I guess.
Yeah, and they sell knockoffs half the time too, right? Like how many fake Pokemons probably exist there? I'm sure tons.
And it's just not to be a GameStop basher because we
No,
all we all work there, but it's like they're trying so hard to stay relevant. Now they're doing trading cards, and
yeah, trading cards. That's true.
they're sending cards out to be graded, and they have like giant walls dedicated to just trading cards, and they're pulling, they're pulling, but
The funny thing is, they could survive off of games alone if they just did it
mhm,
correctly. Like there is a path for them. It's not
mhm,
like they're never going to be as big as they once were, first of all. But there's a path for them to exist if they made correct choices that made
mhm,
sense. I just want someone there to like look at the name of the store and think about what their branding is.
mhm.
If you're going to keep doing all this weird stuff like trading cards, maybe change the name.
Yeah, where's the game?
Right. If you want to continue to be GameStop, maybe just focus on that again and change the way that your businesses
Mhm.
operate. But I don't work there. No one's going to listen to me. No one listened to me when I worked there. So it doesn't make a difference, right? Who cares? Who cares what I say? No one. Anyway. All right, we should just hop into this, Wes. Before we get into what's hot, what's not, I do want to look at some legacy titles. And when I say legacy titles, if you guys go back and watch our old content,
Mhm.
first of all, if you guys are watching on Nerdthusiast Gaming on our YouTube channel there, so youtube.com/at Nerdthusiast Gaming, if you're watching us there, our legacy content, almost all of it, is over at on youtube.com/slash Nerdthusiast. That's our main channel. We segmented off to try to grow this channel separately where all the gaming content exists. But our legacy content's over there, and we have tons of pricing videos from back in the day. So make sure you check them out. If you go through any of that content, you're going to see me and Wes talking quite a bit about some of our favorite titles that we either want, in my case, or that we own, in Wes's case. And we went through a bunch of them. We rehashed these a lot. This show, we're only going to talk about two of those titles. And we're going to talk
Mhm.
about them right now. So if you guys have watched those, we're going to talk about all new games that we haven't talked about in the past, except for right now. So let me get my baby out of the way that I'm never going to own unless something crazy happens one day. Little Samson. Little Samson today,
Mhm.
Wes, a loose one, $2,185. Complete in box, $4,578. In a sealed one is
Oh
$18,313.
my god, that just it's just so incredibly expensive for a Nintendo game.
It is. It is. Now, most of you common sense people would be saying, dude, just emulate it. And that's not the point. Of course, I could just emulate it, but I want it. There's a difference. I want it in my NES collection.
You want to physically own that game.
Right. The original. The original.
Yeah, at $2,000 just for a loose cartridge.
But here's the thing. If I got this, it would probably be loose, first of all, right? I would prefer complete in box. Always. Always. But I'd probably end up buying a loose one just because a lot of my NES collection is loose anyways, and I'm not paying. If I went to my wife and I was like, I'm gonna spend almost $5,000 on a video game, how do you think that conversation? So no, I won't be buying it, especially complete in box. But the peak complete in box price, if we want to compare those two real quick, $5,631 back in May of 2022. So still in that pandemic window, and so that it's dropped. It's dropped about $1,000, a
Mhm.
little bit more than $1,000 in 2 years. So you are seeing those pandemic prices come down, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, here's a question. Have you ever played Little Samson?
No,
Not even on emulation?
like I said, I could.
Mhm.
The day that I play that game, I'm gonna have it in my hands, Wes.
Okay.
It's going to happen. I'll probably be close to dead, but it's going to happen.
You use your money from for your 401k when you retire to
Yeah,
buy Little Samson.
right. Beating like cans of peas, and that's it. Like, got my little Samson though.
When people get older and retire, they buy like a vet or some hot sports car. You'll buy Little Samson.
Oh yeah, first thing on the list. What about you? What is your legacy title, sir?
My legacy title is one we talked about several times before. It is one that I actually have in my collection still, and it is Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Sega Saturn.
Of
Uh,
course, man. A
that game
grail
is
to many on the Saturn.
it is one of those holy grails. Right now, loose, just the CD is $700. The complete in box is $908, and sealed is $1,509. Mine is still sealed. I'm really itching to play it because it's been sitting there staring at me, and I'm like, but I'm trying to resist the urge. But this one has dropped in price, which is surprising. Because it came out at the end of the Saturn's run, so there wasn't a whole lot of them made. But the the peak was in August of 2021. A complete in box was 1350.
Hmm.
So right now it dropped about $400.
Just like Little
Um,
Samson, it's that
yeah.
pandemic peak, man. It's dropping not a crazy amount, but a good
Well,
chunk.
even still, the sealed at one point was 2 grand.
Yeah.
It was 2 grand. Now it's 1,500. I mean, that's still expensive, but it is coming down. It
Right.
is coming down. So that just kind of proves our point where the market is kind of stabilizing, and we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, prices are still crazy, but it's not as crazy as it once was, for many of the titles. So those are obviously some heavy hitters that we chose for that segment. We're going to roll into what's hot now. And when we say what's hot, again, I just want to reiterate this. We are talking about the consoles, those libraries of consoles that are popular to shop for currently, right
Mhm.
now. So we're not saying that every single title for that console is going to be going up in price. That's not true. But overall, the popularity of that console, people are shopping for, people want, and
Mhm.
are seeking out games for those consoles. Now, in some cases, yes, the price is going to go up because of that, but it's not across the board. The first thing I would like to mention is that handhelds were completely dominant at the convention I went to this year. They were front and center pretty much everywhere. I did mention that before, but DS, GBA, specifically, like really were everywhere. At those events. Did you see the same thing on the East Coast?
I did. And when I went to too many games, like you saw like GBAs, you saw Game Gears, you saw DSs, you saw a lot of the handhelds. They were all over the place.
Yeah, like previously, like they would always kind of be off to the corner, off to the side.
Hmm.
They were never front and center like they were,
No,
this
they were
past
they,
year.
they were prevalent. Just about every vendor had them prominently displayed, like in the front.
Another great thing to look at for what's hot is like either rare or uncommon horror games. Those, if you we I looked at many prices over the past couple nights here,
Hmm.
and the horror games are bucking the trend of the pandemic, like decline, like coming down from the pandemic. Almost
Hmm.
every game that's a horror game is still climbing. It's shocking.
Really?
Not everyone, to
Hmm.
be clear, but many of them, like their peaks are now or like in the past few months.
Huh.
So,
I wonder what's driving those horror games to go up it, like especially now.
I mean, if you're saying like now, probably Halloween time is a good thing, right? But I mean, just like looking at in between the years, yeah. Why is it?
Hmm.
Why are they going up now compared to the pandemic? I think you see a spike during the pandemic, right?
Hmm.
And then I think especially the older horror games had lower print runs. Unless you're Resident Evil, right? I'm not talking about Resident Evil, right? I'm talking about a little bit more, like I mentioned, rare or uncommon.
like
Uh,
like Fatal Frame or
yes,
Clock
yes,
Tower, stuff like that.
stuff like that. Now, Clock Tower has a remake that's coming out.
Hmm.
Depending on which one you're talking about, but that
Hmm.
the remakes can affect prices and stuff like that too. But if you're looking for something to keep raising in price, it seems like horror games are a great way to do it.
One horror game that I always see that stays pretty consistently on the higher side, and when I say high, it's not like Little Samson high, but is Silent Hill for
Hmm.
PlayStation. Like
Yeah,
Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 have are consistently like up there. And when I say up there, I'm talking hundreds, like $100 and above.
yeah. I mean, the remake came out, but the remake is a little bit different, right? So I think that's still going to
Yeah.
drive people to want the older
Hmm.
version because it's not, even though it's very similar, it's not exactly
Hmm.
the same. So there's still going to be a market for that.
Hmm.
The other thing that you should collect for, if you guys are like again looking more of it as like a money aspect, is RPGs. I mean, get horror games, get RPGs. They tend to traditionally either hold their value or go up
Hmm.
in value over time. That's another category that you should be looking out for. And the last thing I will throw in here, Pokemon. Does it say Pokemon on the box? Buy it and hold on to it for 20 years, and it'll probably be worth more money.
Pokemon consistently stays high and relevant.
It's crazy. It's nuts,
Still,
man.
it is. It is. And it's funny because, at Level Up, when we do get Pokemon games, they sell immediately. And they're not cheap.
No, a lot of them are $100 plus. Like some of them are
Hmm.
$200 plus. It depends on which one
Hmm.
you're talking about, but they're expensive games, especially complete in box.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We did want to talk about just two handhelds. We think you should collect for now. Wes, I'm going to have you go first. Why don't you talk about your handheld, and then I'll talk about the one that I picked.
Mine is kind of like a rare one. It's a Neo Geo Pocket. They came out in America for a very short window, very short time.
It
The
was only like
game
2 years or something, right? Like,
It was, yeah, it was released and then it was gone. Neo Geo is well known for Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury fight, games and um, King of Fighters. So they had their fighters. It was cool. It was a cool little handheld, but it's kind of pricey. Like a loose one is $112, which is the same thing as the complete in box, which is $112. Surprisingly.
yeah, I never owned one of these. Not something I'm really going out and looking for. I picked up a collection of games, limited run made. a volume one and a volume two of
Mhm.
games. I got the first one. I don't think that I have the second one, but I think that's probably an easy way to play like some of the awesome games from that console without having to go through and pick them up individually.
Yeah, yeah, but that was my choice for like a rare handheld to be on the lookout for. Um, it's one that seems to hold its value.
Mine was a Nintendo DS, and that's strictly because A, it's one of my favorite handhelds of all time. B, there's just an amazing library of games for it. And C, they're on the opposite side. They're not that expensive to buy. They're relatively cheap, especially if you're getting a loose one. If you're looking at a loose one, you're looking at so I looked at the red and black Nintendo DS Lite.
Mhm,
A loose one was $45, complete in box was 85, and a sealed one was 452. A DS Lite is what I would recommend because they also play GBA games. Once you get
mhm.
to the DSi and the DSi something, I can't remember the other title. Those systems do not play GBA games, so I think the Lite is a nice in between. Highly recommend the DS console. Again, there's just tons and tons of games to play, and they're prominent in store or at conventions. I'll say they're prominent at conventions. They're front and center. People are showing them off, and there's a high interest now, which means the prices are going to keep going up for a while. You probably should have bought these a few years ago. You might be paying a little bit more than then, but for at least the foreseeable future, for the next few years, those prices are going to continue to go up. So if you want something, just grab it now.
Okay, here's a question for you: Nintendo DS or 3DS?
I never bought a 3DS. Not even. I don't know. When the 3DS came out, I was like, I'm good for now. Maybe I'll get one later. I was really
Hmm.
down on handhelds at the time. I was like, I'm kind of burned out on
Hmm.
handhelds. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait. And then it floundered when it first came out. I was like, well, I'm glad I waited. And then I just waited longer. And I was like, well, there's nothing that's that intriguing. And then they put out a Link Between Two Worlds, and I was like, well, that's intriguing. But I don't feel like spending whatever it was, $200,
Yeah.
so I can play one game. So I never bought it. There's a handful of games I would want for it now, but I can't buy another console and start another library, man. I can't do it. Not right now. I don't have the
I
energy.
I waited too. I obtained one a couple years ago. I finally broke down and got one because there was like certain stipulations that I was like, okay, if I'm going to buy one, it's got to be a purple one, and I couldn't find a purple one because they took them off the market. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, fine, I don't have to buy one. And then I happened to stumble across a purple 3DS, and I bought it. But
Is that one of the Galaxy ones that has like the stars on it?
it's just the purple. It's not the one with the stars on it.
Okay. I always thought the
But
Galaxy one was really cool.
yeah, they are cool. I mean, it's a cool little system. The 3D is it's gimmicky. A lot of people just turn it off.
Oh yeah, I would. Let me be clear. I'd 100% turn that thing off.
So I'm just curious to get your input. Whether you prefer the 3DS or the DS.
I can't say that I preferred one over the other, but
Hmm.
I mean, my interest level was completely different for those two systems.
Okay.
We already kind of mentioned this earlier, so I'm gonna hop into just a couple examples of handhelds. These are two Pokemon games. I'll start out with Soul Silver with a Pokewalker. This is one that I actually own. I don't own many Pokemon games, but I do have this one. A loose one is $196. Complete in box is $319, and a sealed one is $645. To my point about Pokemon games really just continuing, this is the peak right now. 319 for a complete in box is the peak. Then we have Pokemon Emerald, a loose 210, complete in box 600, sealed 900. Well, the peak for complete in box was 672, but that was in May of 2024 this year. So my theory is that that one was probably like mint or like near mint, and that's why it went for
Mm.
more.
Yeah, because I'm like, wow, like the peak is like now. Well, it
Yeah,
was in it was in May. It was this
it was
year.
in May, but that's only a few months ago. Like it's still
Yeah,
these things are still going up.
they always do. They always do. Pokemon's just like I said. Pokemon games do not depreciate at all.
I think generations of kids just keep growing up. Then they get older and they want to go back and grab these when they have
Mhm.
money. And there's less and less of them because there's more and more Pokemon fans that are
Mhm.
growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Plus, too, I see a lot of the nostalgia factor kicked in. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
the a lot of the adults now that are working and have the money are like, man, I remember playing this game when it first came out, I can afford it now. I'm going to buy it again and relive it. And I see that a lot.
I believe it. Now, I'd be remiss if I went first for this one, Wes. We're about to hop into some Dreamcast games. This is still under the What's Hot section. Dreamcast, has peaks and valleys.
Mhm.
Uh, although Dreamcast, I would say, is not as hot as it once was, it's still pretty collectible right now. So we do have it on our What's Hot list. But Wes, start us out, man. What game did you pick for the Dreamcast?
I picked. I love my fighters, so I went with Street Fighter 3, the Double Impact, the second one. Even though Third Strike is arguably the best of the Street Fighter 3 games, I went with Double Impact. It's not crazy expensive. Where loose is $47 right now. The complete in box is 72, and a sealed is 172. But
That's not
the
bad.
it's not the it peaked at $83 in September 2021. So it only dipped a couple dollars.
Yeah, $11. That's not a huge drop at all. It
It's
seems
it's
like
it's
it's
not.
keeping that sustainability from the pandemic.
It is, and like I said, like you said, Dreamcast is still a hot commodity. People still come in looking for it. I still, get customers all the time talking about Dreamcast and do we have Dreamcast? And when I go to retro stores, their Dreamcasts sell.
They do, man. There's a nice market for it. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
the most after it was out, everybody started loving the Dreamcast. Like after it was dead and gone, I was like, oh, now you guys like the Dreamcast.
Now you want a
Okay,
Dreamcast.
you weren't there on 99.99. You don't know, but you know now.
It's one of my favorite systems. Loved it.
So I picked one that we discussed here previously. If you guys know Vinny from our streaming over on Nerdthusiast main YouTube channel, he streams there. He streams on Kick. He streams on Twitch. He came on a show a few months back, and he talked about Cannon Spike. And Cannon Spike is a game I don't even know if I heard of it at that point. I was like, what the hell is
Mhm.
Cannon Spike? But it's a pretty cool game. It's like
Mhm.
a bunch of Capcom characters in a game
Mhm.
together. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not like Smash Brothers. It's like Smash Brothers in the fact that all the characters are together, but it's nothing like Smash Brothers at all. But you guys should check out videos. The game looks awesome. It's very expensive. One of the more expensive Dreamcast games. A loose one currently is $200. Complete in box, $315, and a sealed one will set you back $741. Now its peak was in June of 2024, so this is another one that's going to kind of continue its rise for the most part.
Mhm.
$349 was its peak in June of 2024. So
Mhm.
just a few months later, it's down, $35 or so. Not a huge drop, but
Mm-mm.
again, you don't the thing with like small incremental changes in prices is probably due to condition. I bet you that one probably looked like it was brand new and it went for more than it did today.
Could be. Oh, Cannon Spike was such a good game. It was a top. It was like a three-quarter view shooter
Yeah.
with Capcom characters in it. That was great.
All right. Now we go from what's probably Wes's favorite console to what's probably my favorite console. Y'all know I love the N64. Y'all know I pre-ordered my analog 3D.
I
Day
ordered one
one,
too.
absolutely. Now they haven't really showed off a lot. There's like some small screenshots and stuff, but I have faith in analog. They better blow me away. In the meantime, we're gonna talk about some Dreamcast games or some N64 games from there. Castlevania: Legacy of Darkness. We had a whole Castlevania segment just a month or two ago, so I've had to pick this one. Legacy of Darkness, a loose copy is 157, complete in box is 323, and a sealed one is 702. This game peaked in February of 2023, so probably getting out of post pandemic, but it was 454. So over $100 decrease in price. But if I remember the graph correctly, which will be on the screen for you guys to see, it was like one copy sold for that amount. And again, I don't know what these anomalies are, but there's obviously something that happens when they sell for that amount. I imagine it's probably condition. It could be a variety of things. Who knows? Maybe one of the dudes from Castlevania signed the box or something. I have no idea. But $100 loss is pretty significant in the matter of a year or so.
Now, Legacy of Darkness, that was the second Castlevania game for 64, right? That was the second one.
I don't remember.
That had the wolf.
I
That
didn't
had
play
the
those games.
no, that had the wolf on the cover. Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
the second one. Okay.
Yeah, who cares?
Oh, you didn't play them? I was gonna ask, what did you think of
No.
Castlevania? I mean, we love Castlevania as a
2D.
franchise.
2D. 2D.
Okay.
Not 3D. I don't know, man. For even 323, if somebody was like, "Hey man, you want Legacy of Darkness? It's only $323." Like, no. I'm good. I'd probably maybe the loose one, but $150 for a loose mediocre at best Castlevania game? Come on. I don't know,
Mm.
man. But the next, I like this pick here, Wes, that you got for N64. Go ahead and tell me all about it.
Yeah, man. Turok. Turok started off with a 64, and it was a fun game. And they gave us Turok 2, and then they gave us Turok 3, Shadow of Oblivion. It not crazy, crazy expensive. It did drop in price because right now a loose copy is $40. A complete in box is 94, and a sealed copy is 210. But it peaked a complete in box in May 2022. It was $173. So you figure it dropped about $80 in the past 2 years.
That's a substantial drop, man.
That's a hefty steep. That's a drop.
Yeah, now N64, again, this is on our hot list. N64 is still hot, but it is starting to cool off a little bit. It's not as hot as it was before, right? Like GameCube is way hotter, and we're gonna get into that in a minute too. Like GameCube games are just like hard to find in general. Not like impossible to find, right? But like if you go to a retro store, it's going to be a very small section of GameCube games.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because they can't keep them in stock.
True.
But N64 just seems to be, yeah, people are still picking it up, but not to the same extent that it was. And I think PS1 is kind of in that category where I feel like it was a little bit hotter, maybe like a year or so ago. It is still popular. It is still on our hot list, but it might be coming down a little bit. Certain titles are going up just because they don't make them anywhere else. Which my first pick was Mega Man Legends 2. $75 loose, complete in box is 146, sealed copies 280. Now this game peaked. Its complete in box peaked at $157 in April of 2023. So kind of post pandemic, but if you look at the prices, a $9 difference today. So it hasn't lost a lot of its value, Wes.
No, no,
Mega
it
Man Legends
hasn't.
2.
That one, yeah, it's still holding strong.
Well, it's not playable anywhere else that I'm aware of.
Hmm.
I don't think you can download it anywhere. I think you can only get a physical copy, which would make sense why the price is continuing to rise.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. Well, my pick for PlayStation One was Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Now the game sucked.
I want to be clear about something before we hop into this real quick. What I picked, Wes, there's two versions. I don't know if you noticed that. There's a Bandai version and there's an Atari version. I picked the Bandai version, A, because it was more expensive, but B, I figure that's probably the one that's more popular that people actually want. The pricing that we're going to talk about is the
Hmm.
Bandai version. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, because like I said, the game sucked, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. The game was horrible. A loose copy is $16, and this is where there's a huge jump because a complete in box is $141,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then sealed is 367. It's what's interesting is that it peaked. The peak was only in September 2024 at $153. So it only dropped what $12.
Right. So I mean that's like almost insignificant, especially because
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that game is continuing to go up, no, not that many people bought the game back then. To your point, it sucked also. So even if you were into Dragon Balls, like, do you really want to buy it? Right? The game didn't sell well, and then on top of that, Dragon Ball's popularity has just exploded over the years. Like it's
It
more
has.
popular like than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So of course people are trying to go back and get it, even if it's crappy. So that price is probably going to continue to stay on the rise for a while, right? And then I don't know how to say the dude's name. He passed away. Uh,
Yeah,
so
Akira Toriyama.
yeah, so that might affect things also.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because Dragon Ball games have, a roller coaster that you're up, they're down, they're up and up. This one always kind of stayed constant. It kind of stayed constantly high.
Yep.
But I'm just surprised at the discrepancy between the loose one for 16 and the complete box for 141 bucks. That's a big gap.
When I looked at these, this is just an aside. When I was going through these prices to make this
Mhm.
video today, I was so mad when I saw this, Wes, because I have the Bandai copy, and I didn't
Mhm.
even know it. Like, because I, if you guys didn't know, like half my collection has been in New Jersey, and only recently have I like combined all of my collection. I have all my games under one roof for the first time, yeah, in over 20 years. Everything is here. And when I was going through stuff, I found Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. And I didn't even know I had it. Couldn't even tell you where it came from. But you damn well know it's a loose copy, Wes, for $16. I was like, oh man, come on. Come on. It's the Bandai version, but it's the
Mhm.
loose copy. I don't have the case, the manual, none of that.
I remember years ago, I had a sealed copy, and I gave it to you to sell for me on eBay.
You gave it to
eh,
me?
to sell because you had an eBay
Me?
account. Yeah, and you sold it for
What?
me. Yeah, and you were like the guy that bought it. He paid a hefty penny for it. He paid me like 400 bucks for it. This was like years ago when we were at
Are you
EB.
sure it was me?
It was you. It was you.
I don't
And
remember this at all.
he one of the things he said is, "Oh, I can't wait to get this game so my son can start playing it." And I like almost shed a tear. I almost didn't want to sell it because he was gonna open it.
I don't think that was me, Wes. I think you're mistaking me for somebody else.
It was you because you had an eBay account, and you were like, "I'll sell it for you." I'm like, "Okay."
I'm not gonna say you're wrong because I my memory is bad, but I have no recollection of doing that
No,
whatsoever.
okay, yeah, I remember.
Man,
And
well,
then I wound up getting it again, like not too soon after. So,
look, you said you got 400 bucks for it.
mhm.
Hey, it's only 367 now. Look at it that way.
Yeah, yeah, and that was way back then.
Yeah, so that's not bad, man. Not a bad deal. $400 in 15, 20 years ago's money. Much better. Much better. All right, on to PS2. Wes, hit me with what you got, sir.
PS2, I picked Guitaru Man. I love that
Awesome
game.
little game.
I love that game. I love that game. It was when like the rhythm games were starting to become real popular because you already had Parappa the Rappa, you had Jamalami, and
DDR
you
was
had
out.
DDR, Res. So Guitaru Man was thrown in the mix. Little character. It was a rhythm based game, and you push the buttons in time with the music. And he had a guitar, and you use the analog stick. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But right now, loose Guitaru Man is 90 bucks. Complete in box is 141, and a sealed is not too much more expensive at 148 bucks. But it peaked at $158 in April 2022.
Yeah,
So
so even then, you're not looking at a huge decline.
no, again, you're not, and PS2, like you said before, is one of the best selling consoles ever.
It's the best selling console ever. Period.
Yeah, so games, it's still PS2. You know what? PS2 still sells.
It
PS2 games
does.
still sell.
It's still a great library to collect for. I think it's still
Mhm,
popular to collect for now, but the PS2 sold so well that so many of their games are under $20 and under $10. Like
mhm,
fantastic games that are under 10 and 20 bucks. There's just tons of them. Yeah, there's some expensive outliers like the one that you pointed out. But I
mhm.
mean, if you bought a PS2 today, you could go insane. You can get
You
100
could.
games that are fantastic under $20.
The Getaway is one of them. Prime example. Awesome.
Mhm.
And that game is under $10.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. PS2 is great system, man. My pick was The Simpsons Hit and Run. Loved this game, Wes.
Awesome game. Crazy Taxi with the Simpsons.
That's Road Rage. This
No,
is
that's
the new
Road
one.
Rage. That's right.
This
That's
was
right.
this was like the open world Grand
The
Theft
open
Auto.
right. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, man. I had a blast playing this game. I did not play it on PS2, however. I played it on Xbox, but
Hmm.
awesome, awesome game. Loose copy, you're looking at $37 currently. Complete in box is 50.
Hmm.
Sealed is 154. The peak, May of 2024, $53 for complete in box. So only a $3 difference from where it is now. So definitely holding its value. One thing Wes and I talked about on our Patreon exclusive video, which you can go check out if you subscribe to us on Patreon, um, was that licensing has a lot to do with the value of games
Hmm.
continuing to go up over time because a those games usually become unavailable at some point because the licensing is no longer valid, and b if the property is still in the public consciousness, people are still going to want to seek out titles, right? The Simpsons is somehow still on TV. Like it's still relevant today, which is crazy to think about. But that means people are going to grow up with it. They're going to learn about it. And now all those episodes are on, I believe, Disney Plus.
Disney
So,
Plus.
you're going to have generations of people that grow up with the Simpsons still. And on top of that, it's a great game. I mean, come on, man. $50. Go get this for your PS2.
Gotta love the Simpsons.
I do quite a bit. At least the old ones. I don't watch them anymore. But when I grew up, oh man, all the
Really?
time.
I still watch them. I still
Yeah,
watch them.
are they
Yeah.
still good?
Some episodes are better than others.
Okay.
It's not as funny as it used to be, but there are some episodes that are, still laugh out loud funny.
There was seasons where Conan O'Brien was writing for them, and I think that was like some of the best. It was like probably like season 3 and 4, like
Yeah, like
somewhere
the
around there.
earlier seasons. Hmm.
And they were so good. But yeah, I got a soft spot for the Simpsons. People like to crap on them all the time now, but I like it. All right, Wes. Now we're in that generation. Still hot. Still talking about the hotness.
Hmm.
We're gonna end with what we mentioned earlier, the GameCube. What do you got for me?
GameCube, 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 is always hot.
And for years now, it's been a while.
Always hot. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's that Nintendo thing. I don't know what it is. Like Nintendo systems always stay hot
For the
for the
most
most
part,
part.
yeah.
For the most part. But GameCube is one of those exceptions, man. GameCube is just consistently hot. So I picked Resident Evil 2 for the GameCube.
Now, was this?
Uh,
I have questions before we.
mhm,
We're definitely gonna talk about the pricing. I don't remember. I mean, I know that the remake of the first one, right, was there. Was this
mhm.
like a remake of two, or was this more of a port? Because
It was a
I don't.
port.
Okay, okay,
It was a port. It was a I want to say it was a port of the Dreamcast version.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
That would make sense.
it was nothing like the remake of the first one.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, loose Resident Evil 2 is $90. Complete in box, you're looking at $100, and a sealed one is 302. Where it Resident Evil 2 for GameCube peaked July 2022 at $121. So we're only talking a $20 difference in the past 2 years, which is
yeah,
nothing.
man. Horror games,
Which is
horror
nothing.
games gonna hold that value, man, or keep rising. Yeah, $20 is not a huge difference, right? Again, that could be condition. It could be the box looks better. It could
Mhm.
be the disc look better. It could be a number of things. Who knows? But $20 is not a huge loss. Is it significant percentage wise? Perhaps it's like I don't know whatever percent, but I don't know. Still, I don't know. Would you pay like let's take all the pricing away for a second. Let me just straight up ask you for
Okay.
that version
Hmm.
of Resident Evil 2. Would you pay $100 for that today?
Yes.
See, I wouldn't.
See, I would.
I would go buy the remake. The remake is amazing.
Oh, the remake is phenomenal.
Right. I know they're not necessarily the same. I get that. I do. But if I'm gonna spend that much money, dude, I'd rather go spend $30 and get the remake, which is a way better, in my opinion, a way better version.
It is, but to experience it on the GameCube, I would pay that $100.
Okay, I respect that. I
I would.
respect that. I would be more inclined to get the Resident Evil remake because that is still, from my understanding, that's still the remake version that they use on all the ports today. Like
It is. It is.
that's so crazy to think about.
What'd you pick for your GameCube?
So my GameCube pick was a late release on the GameCube. In fact, the Wii had already come out during this time, which kind of made the price go up because I don't think they sold nearly as many copies as they would have if it weren't for the Wii. And this was The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. A loose Twilight Princess is $84. Complete in box, you're looking at 113, and a sealed one is $304, which is, you know, up there for a GameCube game.
Mhm.
Now, if we're looking at a peak, in April of 2023, $131. So again, about a $20 difference, a little bit less than $20 difference. So still holding its value fairly well.
It is.
All right, Wes. So we're gonna get into what's not. So the quick caveat for this is when we are saying what's not, we are talking about systems that are on a downward trend in popularity. This does not mean that all of their prices are down for every single game, though most titles could be impacted. So the popularity of the system is going down. That's all. We're going to start with the beloved NES. It's true, Wes. It's true. Look
Hmm.
at the prices on your Game Eye, sir. I have. They're down across the board. There may be some standouts here and there, but they are certainly down from the pandemic.
They're way down.
It's disheartening. It really is.
It, it's a shame because the Nintendo is kind of what kickstarted this whole video game revolution again, and it's just it's. I think it's losing its steam.
They're nowhere near the level of like disinterest that Atari 2600 receives,
Hmm.
but I it's hard for me to name a system that's comparable to that. I think this is not it's not at that level at all.
No,
But out of like the major consoles that are available to people, this is probably on certainly on the lower side. Maybe right like not behind Atari. I guess it would be right in front of Atari. I can't think of a system that's lower than this, other than like Atari 2600 or like any Atari console that's not like the Jaguar or something like that.
Oh, I can, which we'll talk about later.
Well, let's hop into the titles then. Go ahead, give me your first one.
So I picked Dr. Mario for the NES.
Classic
Uh,
puzzle game.
it is classic puzzle, a variation of the Tetris theme with Mario in it, and you're looking at like loose, it's $8. Complete in box is 26. Eh, But if you could find a sealed copy of Dr. Mario, you're gonna wind up forking out $433.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
The,
I'll
the
say
sh- the shocking thing to me out of what you just said is that the complete in box is only 26. Like that's crazy to me.
$26, and the complete in box peaked in November 2021 at $45.
That's nothing, man. And it's probably that game probably sold millions of copies.
It did because it had Mario on it.
Right, but even then, how many people saved the box, man? Like, I can't believe that complete in box is only going for 20. I'm about to go buy one just because it's so cheap. Like, dude, I'll buy a complete in box one for $26. Are you kidding me? Man,
Yeah, it's a good game. It was a fun game. It was a very fun game, fun puzzle game. I don't know. Like it just like you said, it just breaks my heart because Nintendo was such a beloved system, and it's just I don't know. I don't want to say the love isn't there anymore, but it's waning.
all right, so mine, I picked another relevant title here, relevant to the time. So just so you guys know, we're recording this on November 20th. There's a little boxing match that happened a few days ago between the one and only Mike Tyson and some other scrub. Uh, that whole fight was a joke. But anyway, uh, we're talking about Mike
Agreed.
Tyson, and this is Mike Tyson's Punch Out for NES. A loose copy, $39. Complete in box, 186, and a sealed one, 745. Now, this is a big discrepancy here. Its peak for sealed. I'm sorry. Complete in box. its peak for
Mhm.
complete in box, September of 2022, and it was $402. That's over a 50% loss in value.
Mhm.
Now, will it go up because of the fight? Probably not. That fight probably did nothing to help him whatsoever make this game
Absolutely not.
go. um, but yeah, I mean, this is a classic game. Punch Out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, whatever version you want to talk about. I mean, we're specifically talking about the Tyson version. Um, Man, to lose half its value is
That's great.
wild.
But what since you said it, I'm curious to look up prices on just the regular Punch Out, the non Mike Tyson version.
The Tyson one has always been more, I think. I'm very
Mhm.
confident in saying that uh, because people want him as the final boss, right? Mike Tyson's in the game, and he's
Mhm.
just they've replaced him with some other rando in the other version. But I don't know. I don't know the price is pulled up. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure Tyson's game is worth more.
Yeah, 'cause I came
Here, I'll
across
look it
it.
up right now. 1625 loose, so that's cheaper. Complete in
Mhm.
box 5117, so that's
Okay.
cheaper.
Okay.
357 for a sealed one, so that's cheaper. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody
So
wants the Tyson version.
everybody wants a Tyson version.
Yep, there it is. The next system is more near and dear to your heart, so you take it away, sir.
Uh Everybody knows I'm a Sega boy, Sega fanboy. But the Sega Master System, pre-Genesis,
8-bit.
8-bit. It tried to compete with Nintendo. Didn't quite make it, but I loved it. I love my Master System. I That was the first one I bought over the Nintendo just because it was Sega. Um, but that for it doesn't get the love. It doesn't get the love. It never did.
I have no nostalgia for it because I didn't have it growing up, but I have the means of playing the Master System
Mhm,
games now.
mhm,
I need to understand more about the library personally, so I need to
mhm.
like watch some YouTube videos or like learn some history about what games are good, and then I can dive into it. But tell me, what did you pick, or if you want to say anything else about the Master System?
I picked Outrun, which is probably one of their most popular games.
Dope game.
I love Outrun. But for the Master System, loose it was $14.
Hmm.
Complete in box, it's $22, and sealed you're looking at $86. So still, even sealed, it's a sub $100 game. It peaked April 2022, complete in box at $30.
Can't beat it, man.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Show that Master System some love.
That's right. A great way to play some of Sega's old games if you guys have a Switch, specifically Switch. I don't know why these are only on Switch, but they at least I'm pretty sure they're only on Switch. The Sega has like they're called like Sega. Oh my god, I'm gonna forget the name.
What Sega ages?
Yes, thank you, Wes. Thank you for saving
Mhm.
me. The Sega Ages games are awesome. They're awesome versions of games to play. They did a like highly good job with ports. So if you see whatever Sega Ages and you're interested in that game, buy that version. It's a great version to buy. Outruns on there.
Oh, is it?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I bought it for $3. Probably the best $3 I've ever spent in my life, Wes.
Which version?
I think it's the arcade version. I'm pretty
Ooh.
sure. My Master System pick was a little shmup or cute 'em up, as you might say for certain people. Fantasy Zone 2. A loose copy is $30, complete in box is $45, and a sealed copy will run you 105. It peaked in December. Complete in box peaked in December of 2015. Wes, you know the system's on the decline if it didn't get hit during the
uh,
pandemic. And its complete box peak was $80 and is at 45 today. So it's halved almost.
mm,
No one
mm.
cares about the Master System. I'm just being
They
honest.
don't. They don't. They don't. And yeah, I'm probably like one of a handful of people that still cares about it, but it's okay. It's all good. But the next one is no one cares about.
I mean, I think they do today, specifically because of a lot of their prices. Um, but it was an awesome console back in the day, but no one had it. I don't know a single person who owned one of these.
And we're talking about the TurboGrafx 16.
Yes, we are. Awesome system, a lot of cool games for it. I
Definitely.
own the TurboGrafx Mini,
Hmm.
which you can see right there. So that's a great way to buy some games. Even those have gone up in value. Those are like $200 now.
I can't
Um,
find one. I missed it when they went on sale, and to this day I cannot find one, and I
I
want one.
I think you had they were sold exclusively through Amazon,
Yep.
and you had to have pre-ordered them,
Hmm.
basically. You can get reseller like, they resold them after that, but if you didn't hit their pre-order, like, I think you didn't have to do it, like, like, it wasn't that day, Wes, but if you got in that week, you were okay, you know? So you had, like, a small window to do it. I think that's probably why the price has gone up on them.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my TurboGrafx and I have the CD attachment, but
Nice.
I really wanted the Mini, but no, the TurboGrafx got like no love. To this day, it gets no love. I mean, there's a handful of enthusiasts out there for the TurboGrafx, but one of their most, their powerhouses, their most popular games was Splatterhouse.
Mhm. Awesome.
Splatterhouse loose is $87. Complete in box is 134. Sealed is going to run you over $1,000, $1,017. But it peaked February of 2024
It's not that
at
long ago.
not that long ago, at $194 for complete in box.
So you're looking about that's about a $50 drop. That's a fairly significant drop,
Mhm.
like, especially percentage-wise. That's, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, about $60, $60.
Yeah,
But
so
like I said, that's their most popular game, the Splatterhouse.
for sure.
And even that took a hit.
The one I picked, I'm less familiar with this system, so I don't have too much to say about the game. I picked Dragon's Curse. It's a game I've heard about before. From what I recollect, it was decent, but I don't know. The cover looked cool. I was like, this game seems fine. $86 will run you for a loose copy. 126 for a complete in box. Sealed is 252. Now the complete in box. This is an interesting one. Peaked in July of 2023 for
Mhm.
$300. It's lost $175 in value, which is wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so again, this system's not there was a window, probably like, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 3 years
Mhm.
ago, where, like, people were really looking for TurboGrafx. Not a ton of people. Let me be very clear, not a ton of people, but people
Mhm.
were really hunting for TurboGrafx, and I feel like even those people are, like, mostly gone now.
I'm wondering with the release of Analog's Duo, Analog's Duo system, that there's more interest in the TurboGrafx. So I wonder when we revisit this, 6 months to a year from now, if interest will change or if prices will change.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that system came out somewhere between 6 to 9 months ago.
Hmm.
So nothing dramatic has happened yet, but we'll see what happens. That's another console. I mean, I did buy Analog's version. That is something I'm interested in getting, but it's much like the Master System. I don't know enough about the console to really know what's
Hmm.
good. And then when I went to SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, I was looking for TurboGrafx games, and
Hmm.
either the ones I wanted were too expensive, or for the most part, nobody had them. Like, you would go to a vendor, if they had like four or five, you'd be like, wow, they have
And
TurboGrafx games.
and they all had probably Keith Courage,
Oh yeah, Keith Courage is at every one of them that had them.
Bonk,
Yes, yes,
and maybe one or two others.
exactly. That's exactly what it was. So yeah, something I definitely want to collect for. I just need to understand the system more because, again, much like Master System, I don't know enough about it. All right, we're gonna end on something we both like, Wes. A little nostalgia for the two of us.
Yeah, man.
OG Xbox. This system is an interesting one because I feel you can correct me if you think it's wrong, especially because you've worked in a game store much longer than I
Mhm.
have. You know better than me. I don't feel like original Xbox came out. They were
Mhm.
$50 games. They went down. Now, what traditionally
Mhm.
happens is, right after they go down in price, after about 20 years, people go back and they collect, and the prices go up. I feel like that's only happened with a handful of games on this system, and everything else has just stayed rock bottom. Like, there's probably 10 titles in the system that have gone up in price that people are collecting, and like everything else is like $7,
Yeah.
650. Like, am I wrong? Was there ever a
No.
peak where like people went back and collected for Xbox?
Outside of a few standouts, no. And I loved my Xbox. I love my to me it was like the sequel to the Dreamcast. Because Sega showed Xbox a lot of love.
This might be the best. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. This might be the best console to collect for if you just want like bang for your buck, like just
Hmm.
awesome, awesome games. Like there's so many great games on original Xbox that are dirt cheap, dirt
Hmm.
cheap. So if you want to build a collection, I think Xbox is an amazing place to start. Now, I will give you one caveat: if you do that and you have an original Xbox that you're using, like original hardware, make sure you get the clock fixed. The clock capacitor leaks, and if it hasn't been fixed in your console, that's something you need to fix, or it's going to become a problem. So with that caveat, it's a great system to collect for.
Yeah, it is. So, ugh, breaking my heart because it's like no love, no love. But uh, for the Xbox, I picked Brute Force. And it was an okay game when it came out.
This game was so well marketed,
It was all over the place.
all over the place, man. Microsoft dumped tons of money into this. It was an
Hmm.
exclusive. I don't remember if they made it or
Hmm.
not, but the
Yep,
marketing was there. I was so hyped for this game, and it was just so mediocre.
it was. It was a run and gun multiplayer. It was a multiplayer run and gun game.
Yeah,
It looked really great. The graphics looked phenomenal.
yeah.
It had that shiny HD Xbox look. Um, but yeah, I mean, brute force like loose is at $6. A complete in box instructions and everything is only it is only
Dude,
$10.
it probably cost them $5 just to print that instruction manual and the case. Like they, the plastic that's in there and the manual are probably worth more than $5
And
alone.
if you are fortunate enough to find a sealed copy, it's only going to set you back $30.
Oh my god,
But
30.
the sad thing is its peak is right now.
This is what we're talking about. Like that. Like granted, that Brute Force might not be the best one to pick because it's not like a standout title. It is an exclusive Xbox game, and it's
Mhm.
pretty good. It's pretty good. It's fine.
It
You
was
know.
fun. It was okay.
So, but to Wes's point, like its peak is now, now
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, it just goes to show. It's like we're talking about consoles that aren't hot, and it shows in some of the pricing.
Yeah. Now my pick was a little bit. I picked this kind of on purpose. I picked out another exclusive title. Physically was only ever released there. You can get it digitally
Hmm.
now at other places. But the original Psychonauts came out exclusively for Xbox during this period of time. A loose copy today is $19. Complete in box is 36. So as far as Xbox games go, kind of on the pricier side. And a sealed copy is $85. Its peak was during the pandemic. $80, September of 2021. So that has been halved. 36 to 80, that's more than a
Hmm.
40, there's a $44 loss. But Psychonauts is an awesome game.
Psychonauts was great. That was a really good game. I remember when it first came out. It was like we were so excited. Just
Tim Schafer.
Tim Schafer. Yep. Now, did you play the second one?
I think I did buy it, but I
Okay.
never got around to playing it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Leading up to that, I went back to play Psychonauts because I never completed it back then. I was like, I'm going to
Hmm.
beat it. I probably got like 90% through the game, West, and I never finished it. I think I'm like right near the end, and I just never. Something else happened, and I just never beat it. I feel so bad because I was so determined to beat it at that point.
I hear you. I'm like that with a good chunk of my games. It's like I get so far, and then I'm like, then something else comes along, and I put it down to start something else, and never go back
Yeah.
and finish it. So it's okay.
For our final section, guys, we have lukewarm. So these are systems that have either already had sort of a popularity peak and are on their way down, or are just starting their popularity peak. There's three different systems we're going to mention to start with: Genesis, SNES, and Wii. The Wii we're just going to get out of the way now. We didn't pick any prices to look at for this because that's really just starting to get popular again. People are starting to pick up some Wii titles. A lot of their prices are still pretty low, so it's still a good time to get in on the ground floor for Wii as those prices continue to rise. But we want to start with the Genesis, Wes. Our beloved Sega Genesis that both you and I grew up with. This was our 16-bit console of choice.
Yes, it was.
What game did you pick for Genesis?
I picked Earthworm Jim.
Classic.
It was classic. Just seeing the animation and the colors when we first turned it on was phenomenal.
The weirdness. The game was so damn weird, Wes. I love it so much for that.
Definitely, definitely. But Earthworm Jim loose, the cartridge is going to run you $20. Complete in box, you're looking at 55, and sealed 263. It peaked. Well, we're recording this in November of
Yes.
2024. It peaked last month in October 2024 at $70 for complete in box. So it only dipped $20,
15.
$15, $15.
Yeah. Oh, no, is it 20?
So,
No, wait. 50? 50 is 20. Yeah, 15.
mhm.
That's how you math.
And it's like you said, the Genesis is our beloved system. There's always a consistent interest in the Genesis, no
I
matter where you
agree.
go.
And I think the same thing is going to fall with SNES. Like,
Hmm.
there's always like every system has a floor, and I feel like the floor for SNES and Genesis is fairly higher than even the NES.
I agree. I agree.
So these systems will continue to be popular, right? But they're
Hmm.
not. They're never going to have that boost like they did because all the people who got them 20 years, all the people who got them 20 years later
Hmm.
already got them years ago at this point. So their popularity is waning, but there is like a stabilization. Like this is the floor, this is how popular these are always going to be. But to see them be front and center again, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I doubt it.
I doubt it. I doubt it too. But as long as there's still an interest, it's nice to see.
For sure.
What did you pick for the Genesis?
Good old Sonic and Knuckles, Wes. I picked this for a couple reasons. A, it's a Sonic game. B, it's kind of an oddball Sonic game. It's not Sonic 2, which most people think of as Sonic 1. Um, this and Sonic 3 are definitely the more odd ones for the system. This had that weird flap that you could open up and then throw Sonic
Hmm.
3 on it. It would give you more levels and stuff. It was very interesting. But it was also a cardboard case. So
Hmm.
that can affect the price quite a bit, especially because most Genesis games, had the plastic clamshells. Sonic and Knuckles Loose is $24 currently. Complete in box, $55. Sealed, $500. In June of 2022, the complete in box was peaked and it was $109. Lost 50% of its value in 2 years.
Hmm.
Now, you could say to yourself, why is that happening? I'm going to give you the answer. It's not 100% sure, but Sonic 2 came out, Wes, and Knuckles was in it. And that's probably why it peaked so damn high. Pretty
That,
confident in that.
did that movie come out in 2022? No, 2023.
Uh, Either way, the marketing would have been there at the time. So
Yeah.
the rise for Knuckles was up, right? And that was
Hmm.
like, it was Sonic and Knuckles. It would make sense that
Yeah.
that would be on the rise.
No, I wonder when the new movie comes out, is that gonna bring that price back up?
Probably not. Shadow is the new character. You're going to see all the Shadow games peaking would be my suspicion.
Yeah, but Knuckles is still in it, and he was popular enough to get his own spin-off show.
That's true. That's not doing very good. And to my point, April 8th, 2022 is when Sonic 2 came out. So right there.
Hmm. Okay.
When was the month? June? Yeah. Look at that. April. 3 months later, it peaked.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I have a feeling it had to do with that movie. SNES is next, West, and I'll go first. I'll bring out this because I can't act like I care about the other thing. I'll talk about Beavis and Butthead because I don't care about the next one whatsoever. Beavis and Butthead is a different version than the Genesis version. The Genesis version is superior, just so you guys know. This one's not bad, but it's not the Genesis version. It's $17 loose for the SNES Beavis and Butthead. Complete in box, $85, and a sealed one will set you back $363 currently in November of 2024. Its peak for complete in box was in August of 2024. $88. So it's only a $3 difference. Again, not a surprise, right? It's only a couple months ago. But interesting to see that that complete in box copy is more or less overall on the rise.
$3. I mean, it's on the NES. So it's just like the Genesis. There's always going to be that level of interest.
It being a
Yeah.
license helps it too.
Yeah. Beavis and Butthead. Oh man, I remember when that game came out because the show was like super popular
Oh yeah. I
at the
used to
time.
I didn't have cable as a kid growing up, not
Mm.
till like later in high school. And I was in like middle school when Beavis and Butthead was out. I would go to my grandmother's house just so I could watch Beavis and Butthead. Every time my dad would go, like, "Oh yeah, I'll go. Let me watch Beavis and Butthead."
Now, are you watching the new series, the new
I
episodes?
have watched a few of them. Still good. Still good. They
Really?
still got it, man. Mike Judge
Okay.
knows what he's doing.
Okay. Without the videos, though.
They have some. It's they made it modern, Wes. It's really interesting how they did it. So instead of just watching MTV, they're watching like the internet, like YouTube,
Hmm.
right? So sometimes they're watching like like a TikTok or like a YouTube video, and then sometimes they're watching like a music video because you can watch music videos on YouTube. So it's still like it's the same idea, and like
Okay.
maybe in an episode they watch like one YouTube video and they watch like
Hmm.
one music video. So they've managed to make it like still kind of modern.
Okay. I guess I have to check it out. I've been meaning to kind of put it on my watch list, but I haven't yet. So.
There's like a Post Malone one they cover, and they're just like ripping into him for like half the time. I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Yeah, I would recommend watching them. Is it
Okay.
the best show you're ever gonna watch? No.
No.
Does it feel like Beavis and Butthead? Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Now, did you like the game?
The Genesis version, absolutely.
Okay.
SNES, I know a little bit about it. I I had a Genesis growing up. The Genesis was the one I loved. I did play the hell out of that game. I love that game.
Okay.
Did you play the Genesis or SNES versions?
I did the NES version. It was fun. It was side scrolling platform with Beavis and Butthead
There you go.
with some of the humor.
Yeah, the humor's great. And then next up, go ahead. I don't want to even talk about it. I have so little interest in this series.
Really?
I don't
See,
care
I
at all.
I was I was kind of forced to take an interest in it because my son um, loved the Power Rangers.
Well, that would make sense. That's understandable.
Yeah, so I kind of watched it with him. So I kind of have a soft spot for the Power Rangers. So they did a game, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie for Super Nintendo. And surprisingly, this game is on the pricier side. A loose cartridge is $52. A complete in box is $225.
Hmm, that is
Uh,
surprising.
it is, and then the a sealed one is $720. But it peaked in March 2023. A complete in box then was $270. So you figure it lost 40, $45 in a little over a year and a half, which is not crazy, but it's still on the pricier side of Super Nintendo games.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you why. I usually like to guess. I have no idea
Mhm.
why it dropped. I think they did. I don't know. I guess that's a series they're like. Oh, I feel like it's like Ninja Turtles. They're just always rebooting that series. So I have no idea what the hell's happening with it. They might have just rebooted it that year or something, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know, but I mean, still, like today, it's $225 for a complete box. Like, why?
Yeah.
Is it because I mean, I know one of the guys, Jason David Frank, who's the White Ranger, who's prominent on the cover, died. Um,
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that does have something to do with it.
so I wonder if that's keeping the price high.
Hmm.
But it's yeah, it's one of the oddities that still maintains a stable price. I haven't seen it drop below 200.
Yeah, I don't. It's likely a good game. I'd imagine if it's that price, it's probably something people want to actually
It was,
play.
it was okay. It was a side-scrolling beat 'em up, like a la Final Fight.
That's what you would expect, I think, out of most
Hmm.
like Power Rangers games are probably like the. Recently, I watched a video on the one for N64, and oh my god, Wes, whew,
Oh, that's right. It was, I think, Zio. I think it was
I have no idea, but I watched a video.
trash.
I don't know who did it.
Was it trash?
Oh, dude, it was like unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, this is like garbage level, like garbage, hot garbage. But yeah, I guess the Genesis one was probably significantly better. In fact, when I grew up, um, I was just a little too old for this. I was like, why do you guys like that? Like, I was like, the Ninja Turtles was so much cooler than these friggin' nerds. Like, but whatever. So I did play a game, and I ended up getting I think I got a copy for free. I have a
Mhm.
loose copy of one of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and it was fine. It was a fine game to play.
Mhm.
I don't care. It didn't make me care about the show. I don't care about the show.
Which one did you get? The one for Genesis?
It was a Genesis one, but I don't think it was the movie. I think it was just like Mighty
No.
Morphin Power Rangers or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, that's the one that came out on Genesis.
Yeah. So that's the one I got. And again, it was fine. It was a fine game. I don't
It's
know.
side scrolling beat 'em up. That's all it was.
Now I'll tell you what I am interested in, just to make sure you guys know I'm 100% a hypocrite. 100%. Digital Eclipse makes amazing games, amazing, like some awesome stuff. They made Atari 50 collection. They
Mhm.
make these like documentary style series, but they're also making Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Revenge, which is a side scroller, and it looks awesome. I don't care about Mighty Morphin Power. I don't care about any of that. I just care that it looks awesome, like 2D pixel art, and it's a side scrolling beat 'em up. They could put any
Really?
name on that. If it's by Digital Eclipse, I'm in. I'm in. So definitely looking forward to that, and that's coming out within the next month. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, man.
Huh.
I'm telling you, Wes, Digital Eclipse makes awesome, awesome. I mean, you might already be aware, but if you're not aware, they make amazing stuff.
I may have to look into that one. Is it hand drawn 2D art?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to tell you wrong information, but it looks awesome. It looks really nice.
Okay. Because I know there was a fighter. I think it was Battle for the Grid that was a fighter, side scrolling fighter for Power Rangers, which was it wasn't bad. It actually was pretty good.
If I had to guess, it was hand drawn, like just from the videos and stuff that I've seen.
Mhm.
But I'm pulling from my memory from a few months ago.
Okay.
That's why my memory's so bad.
So all this to say is that there are some good Power Rangers games out there.
Sure, sure. I just don't care about the Power Rangers themselves. I would be
Okay.
more likely to play their game and just be like, yeah, it's a good game.
Okay.
All right, so that brings us through our to our last part. We're going to mention just a few things. PS3 and 360. These systems are on the rise. Also at conventions this year, I'm sure you saw it too, Wes, but you can back me up or tell me I'm crazy. But maybe not so front and center, but in the front. PS3 and 360 stuff were at a lot of tables like hey, it's right here. Like you didn't have to go searching for it.
No, it was kind of like the DS, like the
It
Nintendo
was
DS
front and
stuff.
center.
It was front and center.
Okay.
This front because it's cheap.
Yeah,
It's cheap.
yeah. I
360
mean,
games are really cheap.
I feel like when I would go to a table, it was like DS, GBA, like boom, like right here, and then
Mhm.
like here or here was like 360 PS3. Like you did not have to walk around to look for those systems. Is that
Yeah,
kind of the same idea, more or
pretty
less?
much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah, those systems are on the rise. They're continuing to rise. Stuff that you guys should look for. Wes has brought this up a bunch. 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand. I think that's like a $90 game, $80 game.
Yeah, you know what? That game has gotten a lot of buzz lately. When I say lately, I'm talking about within the past year.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
good game that didn't sell a lot, and
it didn't sell
it's
a lot.
licensed. It's not available to buy digitally.
It didn't sell a lot, but like right now, I mean, a complete in box, you're looking at about $75.
Okay.
Um, just a loose just for the CD, you're looking at 60.
Hmm.
It looked like it peaked. I'd say around March, April, May time frame. It was over $100.
Yeah.
So it's the yeah, that's one that a lot of people have been like looking for lately.
Yeah, a few other ones. Deadpool is up in price.
Hmm.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance Gold Edition, specifically the Gold Edition because it has DLC on the disc.
Hmm. Yep.
The Spider-Man Activision games have all kind of gone up in value. Uh,
Still,
Still,
still.
hmm Lost Odyssey, which is an Xbox 360 exclusive. Blue Dragon. Blue Dragon's actually come down a little bit. Its peak was a little while ago, but the reason is right. Xbox 360, Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, they're not really available anywhere else. You have to have an Xbox for
Hmm.
now until Xbox releases everything on PlayStation in 6 months from now, and then it won't matter.
I know. I know. Yeah,
That's
I
a
know.
whole other story.
Lost Odyssey, and Blue Dragon were 360 exclusives.
Hmm.
Um, and Blue Dragon was like touted as like the first RPG for the 360 when it was out.
Yeah. 3D Dot Game Hero. Unfortunately, that game also significantly that game peaked hard during the pandemic. Man, that game really jumped up in price. Now it's back down to earth. It's like a $40-$50 game now. But that's a cool Zelda like
Hmm.
for PlayStation. It was a PlayStation exclusive, made by Atlas. Made by Atlas, or at least published by them. Yeah, so that's just a roundup of some games you might want to look for PS3 and 360. You should have already been collecting for those systems, but if you haven't, there's still time. There's still cheap games on there that are collectible. But what you really need to start collecting for today is PS4 and Xbox One. You got to start getting on top of this stuff now. These games are probably the lowest they're ever going to be, I'd imagine. Right, Wes?
I agree, and with PS4 more so than Xbox, there's some titles that are pretty pricey.
There are some collectors have already identified ones that are
Hmm.
very collectible, like Godzilla on PS4 is
Hmm.
very
Yep,
expensive
it is.
already. Already. So if it's a $400 game today, I don't know what the price. I'm pulling that price out of my ass, by the way. But let's just say it's $400 today. Imagine how expensive that game is going to be in 15 years from now, when people start going back and buying games for PS4. That's going to be like $1,000 game probably if
Hmm.
it's $400 today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, Godzilla was one of the pricier ones.
Yeah, there's a handful like that. That Berserker. They made a Berserker game for it,
Hmm.
and that game is not even close to Godzilla, but it's like an $80 game right now at its bottom. So that game is probably going to turn into like a $200-$300 game.
Yeah, start getting your PS4 and Xbox One collection going because now's the time.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens with Xbox One because that was really when Xbox started pushing digital hard. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
like a lot harder now with Series X. I mean, they hardly have physical sections in stores at all now, but I don't know how collectible the Xbox version is. I'm going to be very curious to see. PlayStation I know is going to be collectible. Nintendo is like to what to what you said at this point almost an hour and a half ago probably. Nintendo is always going to be collectible. Your Switch games are always going to be collectible and they're only going to go up in time. But Xbox as the oddball, man, I don't know what's going to happen with Xbox One games. I don't know if they're going to stay dirt cheap like the original Xbox, or if they're going to see that 20-year peak like Xbox 360 has.
Yeah, it's just they're the opposite of like Nintendo and Sony. It's like where their systems stay relevant. It's original Xbox 360, Xbox One. It's like very little love, and it's so you can pick up games like really, really cheap,
But the
really cheap.
360 is seeing an increase where the
It
Xbox
is.
didn't. And I don't if you're going to ask me that same question like is Xbox One going to have an increase? I don't think so, man. I
I
think
don't think
it's
so either.
just 360 and that's it.
But then why is that?
I mean, it was more popular at the time. It's the nostalgia, man.
Actually, it was. It was very popular. It won the console wars for that generation, hands down.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia. It's um it's the nostalgia. It had a bunch of exclusives.
Hmm.
Um that was people's place to play, man. It really was. They effed up so bad with Xbox One. It's not even funny. It's incredible how bad they dropped the ball, Wes. Like,
Look, they gave me Killer Instinct, so I can't be mad at them.
but to be beating PlayStation
Yeah,
and now they're like, who knows how they're going to exist in the future? Like, come
yeah,
on, what a fall from grace, man.
it is. It is. Like they were riding high on 360. They had the online gameplay for Xbox Live on lockdown.
Oh, for sure. What PS3's online was like a joke compared to Xbox 360.
You couldn't even touch it. They had so many developers, so many games, a good variety of games. Originality
Japanese
was the
games.
thing.
They had Japanese games, Wes.
Yes, it was. They had so many good things on 360. I don't know what happened. I mean, they tried with Xbox One because they had their Dead Rising exclusive. They got their Killer Instinct. They had their share. They started off strong, I think, and then kind of petered out once PS4 hit. Though they couldn't touch them.
They made some key errors. And first of all, the system looked like crap. It looked like a giant VCR, which
It
is like,
did.
why is your system so hideous? First of all, that didn't help them. Then they had that awful E3 showing where they're like, oh, DRM and you know online all the time. You have to be connected
Mhm.
to the internet. No, dude, just an I can't even. I could probably go off for like 30 minutes on this, but I just feel like that was their biggest mistake, and they dug a hole that they have not been able to get themselves out of. Just no matter what they do. All right, guys. I guess we're gonna leave things there. So quick shout out to Buzzle. Again, buzzleshopping.com. You guys can go there for them sponsoring us and supporting us. Go to their website, download their app. There's exclusive deals you can get for shopping on there. They got awesome stuff. Patreon. If you guys like what you heard today, please consider supporting us over there. If you already do, thank you so much. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. There's ways you can get ad-free, exclusive, early access. All that stuff's available over on Patreon. Patreon.com/nerdenthusiast.
Also, if you like what you guys are hearing, please click that little button. Subscribe to our channel. Just helps us grow. We really appreciate it.
Right. Leave a comment. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Those also help us out greatly, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything but a few moments of your time. Don't forget to check out our website too, guys, nerdenthusiast.com. We have blog posts and stuff over there from a variety of our creators. Additionally, this is not our main channel, so if you want to check out content on our main channel, it's youtube.com/nerdenthusiast. You can see all of our stuff over there. Remember, you get it early here, though, so make sure you're subscribed on this main channel. I just want to thank Wes for joining me today, sir. Thank you so much.
Of
Wes,
course.
if people want to follow you, where can they do so?
You can catch me on Instagram at Grendel5XBX.
You guys can follow me. My name is Matt, at from NJ2CA. The 2 is a number 2 over on Twitter or X or whatever you'd like to call it.
And you can also continue the conversation on our Discord channel.
That's right. There will be a link in the description, so check out our Discord as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, you all take care.
Take care, guys.